I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 7:19. This is the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee on Wednesday, December 4th, that happened at supposedly 7:15. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom meeting ID number of 840-0877-2826 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, the Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting during business hours. And I've called the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Right now, I'd like to get an approval of the agenda, if possible.
So moved.
All right, Julie made the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Colleen seconded, so we have to do this all in roll call. Julie?
Yes.
Jess?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Beth?
Yes.
And the chair says aye. Okay, so that got approved. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and what I might end up doing is asking if we can move, well, it's really not much. Okay, the approval of the minutes. These are minutes from October 2nd. I don't have any corrections. Jess, you do an excellent job as usual. All right, if there's no discussion, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved.
Beth made the motion.
Seconded.
Julie seconded. Roll call. Julie?
Yes.
Jess?
Aye.
Beth?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Okay, and the chair says aye, so they've been approved. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move over correspondence invoices because you just got a little bit of correspondence that we'll talk about. So I'd like to, if possible, move up new business so that we can have Katie and her team of supporters. I tell you, this is great, Katie. You brought out all the guns.
I did. I have a wonderful team.
That is true. So does anybody have any objection for me moving the new business up?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Katie, thank you very much. We'd like to go ahead and hear what's going on with the new senior center.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And I just wanted to give an update tonight kind of on where we are. I believe, did the committee have a chance to review the flyer that I sent?
Yeah, I'm bad. I sent it out today.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So they do have it. What we could do is I could share it.
Yeah, that's fine. Or I'm happy to just speak to it for a few minutes.
Okay.
So the main thing I wanted the committee to know is that the town of Ayer, like much of the country, is aging. More than 25% of our residents are currently over the age of 60, and that number is expected to continue to grow until about 2060. UMass Amherst estimated 182% growth in older adults between 2010 and 2035 when they stopped their projection. Meanwhile, there's a 22% decline in children over time in those projections. So older adults are a large portion of Ayer's population, and we need an adequate space for the programs and services that they need. Our current senior center just is not adequate to meet the current needs, let alone the future ones. There's not enough programming space. There's not enough office space. As you can see behind me, the multiple cubicles of people that I share my space with, and the walls don't go up to the ceiling. So it's impossible to have a a confidential conversation in my office at all. So the whole building is not ADA compliant, parking lot, the restrooms, the program spaces. So we really need a modern senior center, one that would address all of those needs. Someone that would have a commercial kitchen, a variety of programming spaces for the diverse needs of older adults, because I always like to say that what it means to be a senior in your 60s, what that group is looking for is very different than someone in their 80s. And so being able to meet that diversity of need requires some square footage. It requires enough rooms to be able to provide exercise class, more active exercise classes, chair-based exercise classes, Parkinson's specific or surgery rehab based exercise classes. There's like a gamut of classes. And the same thing goes for all of the social, intellectual type programs as well as health services, health promotion, and health education. So we need a commercial kitchen, space with a commercial kitchen to be able to provide a daily meals program. We currently have a meals program 5 days a week, but we're catering that because we don't have a commercial kitchen, so we can't cook anything here. So we're bringing in catered food, which is significantly more expensive than if we were cooking it ourselves. And um, so what we really wanted to come today to talk about was this new building idea, the Modern Senior Center. The committee has worked, and thank you to all of my committee members who are here tonight, have worked diligently over the past year to look at all 53 town-owned sites and narrowed it down to a parcel out on Bishop Road, which is a portion. It's, I think, in the northeast corner of the larger 73-acre DPW parcel out on Bishop Road. It's about a half mile from Park Street. So while it's out there on the road by itself, it's really quite central to town. And it's, close to the Nashua River, close to the Oxbow Wildlife Refuge, and yet again, still close to downtown. So we're looking to build a 14,000 square foot building. It's over 2 stories. It allows for a large multi-purpose room that seats 150. To give you some sense, that's a right-sized room. It seems kind of big, but it's a right-sized room. All of the senior centers that we have polled recently that have, opened a new building in the last 5 to 10 years have said that they have doubled, if not tripled, participation in the first year that they were open. And we had 55 people here for our Thanksgiving lunch. So it's not unreasonable, given that trend, that we would be able to fill that room. It would include 3 additional activity programming space rooms, a cafe, a reading room area with a fireplace and comfortable upholstered chairs, plenty of ADA compliant restrooms, as well as a wellness office upstairs for private meetings for things like AARP tax prep, the public health nurse, podiatry, manicures, pedicures, massage, reflexology, all of those things. And then an outside, a variety of outdoor spaces as well, including a small front patio to wait for the van or your significant other or whoever you're waiting for to leave or waiting to meet someone, as well as a walking I'll call it a walking track, but a walking track in the sense that it would be an outdoor loop that would have a cover on it around the building, which would allow for walking club activities. Those not intended for folks who are hiking, 5-10 miles a day, but for people who are getting back into walking, who are returning to fitness maybe after a surgery, or folks that in this age range, there's a lot of people who, especially women, who didn't really see fitness as a thing to do. And so this is a comfortable and low barrier way to increase fitness amongst our older adults, as well as hopefully some pickleball courts out in the back as well. So I think it's a great design. Try not to spend too much time talking about that, but I think the main point of us coming tonight is to see if there might be opportunities to partner together. I was looking through your community plan for FY 23 to 27, and it seems like there are some great opportunities to partner, but whether it would be with the walking area or the pickleball courts, or just helping to increase usage of that area that connects downtown to the Nashua River. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought of the idea, to ask for your support, and to see if it would be an opportunity to collaborate.
All right, Katie, thank you. Definitely, I know, speaking personally, I would definitely, I would use a senior center. I think I can go
Great.
ahead and be of age. And with that, it sounds like it's a great place. I know, I was at the public information session that you guys had, what, about a month ago, was it?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I thought some of the feedback there was really good. And again, it looks as if the town definitely needs to get out of Pond Street and move someplace that needs to be larger, because your crowds have gotten larger and there's no place to park down there.
That
So,
is for sure. There's, I think, 13 or 14 spots. It's not a lot at all.
right. And I know if you park into a residence parking spot, the board hears it. So with that, I think, you and I have spoken about, I know CPA funds can't be used to build, can be used to help build the senior center. And that walking path that's underneath the building is a great idea. However, it's part of the building. But we can definitely help out with the land that's around it for the pickleball courts. If you want to make, other type of walking paths, just like we did over at Peroni Park, have that perimeter path out there. And I know we were just talking about with 71 Sandy Pond, of being able to have different trails and try to work out those types of things. But having a recreation area or a pocket park next to it, just like we did with Pleasant Street School, is something that the CPA funds can be used for. I'm going to shut up and see whether or not anybody else on the committee wants to go ahead, because again, you definitely have my support.
Thank you.
Janet, I just say on the walking path around the building, does that have to be regarded as connected to the building? If it was covered independently of the building,
But it's attached to the building.
it would be attached.
Yeah, I mean, I can double check,
Yeah.
but the coalition has had some, how do I say, some other issues with other towns. And
Yeah.
they shy from anything that is going to be as part of the building. So, because again, we're not supposed to do any type of structure.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a great idea, especially having an overhang like that, because if you need to run into the building, there'll be doorways to go right in, and it's close. Julie, Beth, Colleen?
I mean, I would just say I'm very much in support of the project, and I think it would be great if we could partner on some of those, additional outdoor spaces that, would help keep people active. And yeah, I'm excited about this project, for the town. I think it's going to be a huge benefit.
I appreciate you coming this evening to be able to talk about it, early on. And I haven't been able to come to any of the public meetings, but I have the ones in this coming week on my calendar. So I'm going to try and make one. So I have, a lot of other comments, but for the focus of the recreation and open space piece, I think that, the real highlight of this location is the connection to the natural space and the Oxbow National Wildlife Refuge. So I would love to see a lot of protection of the existing forest cover, a priority, and then being able to utilize that space as, walking area and, outdoor recreational area of a low key nature, but really just highlighting the existing tree cover that you have there. And then, as as was mentioned, just with the example of the paths that are by Pleasant Street School, or Peroni Park, like a really nice utility of accessible trail network. And then I would really love to see some kind of a gardening raised bed installation that folks could use. I think that would be amazing. And that's the type of thing that we could also cover with CPC expense, or I'm sorry, funds, and then also the, like pickleball and things like that. Pickleball is, like I think just determining the location and how it fits into your site layout, is something that it's my understanding that the site layout is all very, very preliminary and subject to modifications, like it's not really thought out much yet because all of that parking in the front is just going to not be very attractive. So I think that's maybe just a placeholder for now, right?
So the architect has we've completed the feasibility study. So this is the site work as of the completion of the feasibility study. For the most part, the buildings that are being built right now have the parking in front, because it allows for centralized pickup and drop off so that and a single flow of traffic, to help prevent traffic accidents in a group that is prone to that in the parking lot. But for sure, there's additional site work that needs to be done. We have done a lot of the preliminary site work in the sense that would red light or green light the project. That's all completed. But where exactly the shape of the parking lot is could change as we go into the additional layers of design.
Yeah.
Ken, did you want to add anything
yes.
to that? You're my site guru.
No.
No? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Additional sidewalks and connections along McPherson and Bishop Roads, definitely would be a priority as well, I think. Bike lanes, things like that, that we wouldn't necessarily need to include in the cost of your project, but that would be really key for increasing mobility and access to, a wonderful site like this. So, yeah, I appreciate everybody's work because I know it's been a lot of effort and work that's gone into getting this far. So thank you.
Mhm.
I would make one comment, I guess, Janet, to Beth, that, or to the group, that piece of land is, until you see it, you can't believe it, I guess is the way I describe it, which is, it's basically a separate piece of land from the DPW normal operations. So there's more there than meets the eye for sure. There are quite a few existing gravel trails in there right now. We've walked it quite a few times.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bonuses there that can be revealed in the future.
You remind me of one of the questions and comments that I had too, is that I haven't seen the site plan with existing conditions overlaid. And this is one of the comments that we had, on the high school property as well. Because it's really hard to tell where existing trees are. And, I think that, the topography associated with the existing brush piles and things like that is helpful as well. So just seeing the existing condition, this kind of gets back to my comment about, can we use more of the cleared areas rather than clearing more forest and things like that too. But I just haven't seen existing conditions on the site plan yet. So if we could get that would be helpful.
I think the latest version of the site plan does have that. And so if you were to look on the documents page for the Senior Center Site Selection and Building Committee, under the documents for our last meeting, I believe, it has the site plan with the elevations on it.
Sorry, Katie, I think I'll comment on this if you can.
Okay.
And Katie. So the long and the short of it is, Beth, and I'm not sure if you realize this, we're carving out a 3-acre parcel out of the 76.5 acres that are there. That job is now in the hands of Ross Associates, who's doing a topography as well and an A&R plan, basically is what we're doing, which will be signed by the planning board. We'll create a separate lot. So that plan will show, I'm not sure it's going to show trees because it's basically, just a layout plan, but it'll show the topography for sure, because we need to know that.
Yeah.
We're finishing borings. We finished the phase one, we've finished the habitat. We've had consultants working on the lot to double check everything at this point in time, but I don't know if the only evidence of the tree cover will be probably from existing satellite views that we have, on the land.
Normally they'll capture extent of like forest edge and things like that at a minimum. And I don't know what planning board requirements and conservation commission requirements are for trees of certain sizes to be captured individually in Ayer. I should know, but I'm sorry, I don't. You might.
Yeah, there's no requirement on an A&R plan. It's simply approval not required for the size and consistency with the zoning in the space and whatnot.
Yeah, I thought I was referring to survey work for future site plan. Sorry.
We'll take a close look at it in any event. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, nice, Beth. Anything else, Julie?
No, I just want to echo the same thing. It's been a lot of work by a lot of people and it's pretty exciting. We were separately, my family and I were looking at the Falmouth Senior Center today. And I go to a private gym that offers way less than they did in a day. Like the activity list was phenomenal. And so you're right, there's just so many opportunities to serve our community and serve our growing community. And I'm just really grateful we're looking at it and everyone's put this time into it. And I think for the recreation pieces, you talked to what we could do outside, Janet. I also think about, outdoor seating as we're talking about feeding people. It might not be as accessible, but in the good weather, that's a nice way that we can maybe additionally be supportive outside. So thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's, when you talk about seating, it's sort of like what we did, with the Parks and Rec on Peroni Park. They've got all those benches out there, and that does help out. Dennis, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks for hearing from me, and thank you all for your support. Obviously this is something we've been working on for a significant period of time, going back to 2018 and now this latest iteration, which I think we started maybe a year and a half ago. My question is, so given your support for the project, how would we, the building committee, access your funds, or what kind of notice do you need, or how would we go about soliciting funding for particular parts of the project, be it, an outdoor patio or the pickleball courts or walking trails leading down to the wildlife refuge? What are the nuts and bolts and the timelines needed to make that happen?
You've always got to work back from town meeting. The town meeting's either in October or April. All right, so with that, you want to get an application in approximately 3 months before that. And the reason behind it is we'll review the application, give you suggestions and everything. And then we need to have that public hearing before we make a vote on whether or not it's going to be part of the town warrant articles. So again, it's best to start about 3 months prior to. So that's why I told Katie, it'd be good for you to come in December. So if there's something that you're going to need for the April meeting, we can do, get an application in by January, February, and then we'll have the public hearing in March if it moves forward. And then from March, they usually have the warrant articles all done by the end of March. It's like done almost 3-4 weeks before the town meeting. That's the reason why. Go ahead.
And what in terms of the cost, what kind of documentation, or what kind of, we want to do X and it's going to cost this amount of money. What kind of proof or evidence or documentation do you require for us to give to you so that you feel comfortable spending the money?
You have to go ahead and send us, like, say, some of your bids. And if it is something that isn't so specialized, you've got to go ahead and have at least 3 bids and pick out one of the 3 that you feel the most comfortable with. With this being a town I'm just trying to think. I know that with it being a town project, you've got to go prevailing wage for the building itself and everything. But for the you know, like I say, with the pickleball and everything. And, you know, I got to double check that. Maybe I'm looking at Beth. With it being CPA funds, do we still have to abide by the prevailing wage as well?
Yes.
I think we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's still town money. So with that, but again, it's the 3 bids, and we'd look at that, and always we make a note to individuals that when it goes to town meeting, you can never raise the amount you're asking for. You can always go down. So if there's a project that you think is going to be, say, $150,000, you know, we'd make the recommendation of having a little bit of a buffer there, just in case, like right now, things are costing more, you know, in case prices go up. So you have like a little buffer, because again, we can always go down, but you never can go up. Does that help, Dennis?
It does. And so in terms, just so I understand a little more clearly, so in terms of an outdoor patio with seating and maybe some small tables, would that be fundable by you folks? If it's not covered and not physically attached to the building, but it's, you know, outside the rear entrance to the building?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Pleasant Street School as an example, you know, of like the walkways, the benches, you know, those, you know, so it's not attached, but it's on site and, you know, just an outdoor amenity. And the other thing that I was going to mention regarding your question about the process to get to town meeting is just that Robert is the procurement officer. So, you know, really you need to coordinate with him about what, you know, the expectation would be, you know, for contracts and, you know, like what state he would want it to be at whenever it would come before the committee as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janet,
Yep.
you were mentioning 3 bids, and I think for the purpose of applying to CPC, I think, haven't we always gone by just a general cost estimate, and then we've generally raised the, covered, what's the word?
The
You know,
overhead.
Covered overhead, yeah, and additional costs, but just to get it, but I don't think, I don't remember with the high school or some other things that they've had to do 3 bids ahead of time, just to have a reasonable estimate for the CPC application.
Right, I'll double check, because I really thought that they had multiple bids. And
The
they
high
chose-
school would have had everything because they had already
Would've.
done the project and had it out to bid. You know, it might have been outdated, but they would have had all the finances from the previous attempts at town meeting and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask, as a matter, and I mean, I think you folks are aware that the number that for the building right now, the project, we have now estimated at $16.6 million. So, and I would ask, do you have policies, or are there town policies about how much we can ask for any one thing for the project from you? That is, you don't want to spend more than X amount of money on any one thing? Or do you do the, you know, the approval process based on the advantage to the town that will accrue by the funding of the project? Or is there some kind of limit to what you will or will not consider?
There are 3 categories that the monies get thrown into. Really, there's a 4th one, but the 3 categories, if it's already in a category such as open space, community housing, or historic, it has to be used for that category. So we would not be able to take any monies out of community housing or historic. Open space and rec, and then our budgetary reserve is available, and that should be like I'm going to say almost, I don't have the numbers, but it's almost 2 million that's available in those 2 buckets. So with that, if it isn't, you know, if we can't take it out of open space, all right, because it would be considered open space and recreation, because that's the same category, we would then say so much will come out of open space and so much would come out of budgetary reserve. And that would be in the warrant article.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Janet, can I just
Back to-
I was thinking I would direct Dennis and the group to looking at the application, because I thought that's how I learn anyway. That the Fields had put in, that we did some of the money for the track. But it's actually brought me to our website, and I realized that it's been a few years since we've updated the applications on there. So
Oh, thank you, more homework. Go
I
ahead.
know, I'm really sorry, but I did actually see we're referencing our website a lot on planning board, and I just know that could be very helpful for this conversation. But I guess I will say, Dennis, and similarly, but it's not quite as similar as I think the schools project. I think of the schools project because the Fields were such a large budgetary item, and we were helping with a portion of it, not that giant amount. But the Peroni Park playground project is also on there, and their application of eligibility and funding just might be a good thing to just breeze through, because that kind of shows you how they ballparked numbers and where they kind of presented it to us. So that is on there, but the rest of the projects is like the Horitzer thing, that Canon and stuff, Janet. So it's been a couple years since we've put, or I'm looking in the wrong place, but you and I can talk another time about getting that stuff on there.
Okay, no problem.
Or
Okay,
Max.
thanks
Or
for
we'll
that,
talk to
Jeannie.
Max.
Yeah, it's gonna go down to Max. That's
I
what-
know, I see him there. Okay,
I know.
all right.
It's like,
So
oh,
the-
Ken? Oh,
The
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I know Ken's got his hand up, but go ahead, Katie.
I was just gonna say, the 8-page application that's currently on your site, is that still the current application?
Yes,
Okay, great. Thanks.
right.
Sorry, Ken,
And-
go ahead.
Katie, I was
And-
just saying that there's applications, other people's applications that they've filled out are on there, and that I find that really helpful to kind of see how we've gone about it.
Okay,
Right.
great. I'll definitely take a look at that.
Mhm. All right, Ken?
Yeah, I was interested in the question regarding the prevailing wage. The way I understood it was work below $100,000 could be done outside of prevailing wage. And it was curious to me that I'm thinking of the example of the little school that you've been renovating. Was that done with prevailing wage? Something like that. There's been a lot of smallish projects, I guess, that are done. We know the building, we know all that stuff. And, projects, but
It's
It's
not a
Because
town.
the town is the applicant in this case. It's not that the town funding is being used on other projects. It's that the town is the applicant here. And so that's why Robert is the appropriate person, as procurement officer to speak to regarding those kinds of requirements.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay.
Can I just ask
Right.
one clarifying question, just to make sure I was understanding? So, you had mentioned the patio. Did you mean the patio furniture or the patio itself?
And I mean, I want to say the patio, the covered walkway. All right, that covered walkway
Mhm.
is one that we wouldn't be able to because it's attached to the building.
Right.
I would imagine, like I say, I know I've got a question for it, just to making sure with the coalition. But I would imagine we probably could get benches. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I think that we'd be able to spend money on that. Yeah. But I'll double check as well.
And I
Okay.
think it's really kind of splitting hairs. I wouldn't want to propose to cover the cost of the patio if it's attached to the building. But if there's a walkway out to a patio and connected to the trail network kind of thing, then, maybe, but I mean, that's just, like concrete or whatever, right? So it's not, I don't think it makes or breaks anything one way or the other, but some of the amenities that would be on the patio, or benches along the paths and things like that could be, I think, included.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Janet?
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, to Beth, I like the idea of I don't even know if we thought about it. We thought about a gardening area, but we didn't talk about raised beds or anything like that. That could easily be remote from the building with a walk to that. And then from that, we could go out to other trails. I mean, there's a lot of potential that we need to look at.
That was a great idea. Yeah.
And I had mentioned the connectivity to, like back to Park Street and things like that as well. I've actually been in conversations for a number of locations to increase access to the Oxbow National Wildlife Refuge by installing additional sidewalks and things like that. So there are some grants that we're starting to look into, like in particular, we're looking at them for connecting the middle school to the Bill Ash Visitor Center. But those same grants could be potentially used for, like these kinds of connections as well. So it's something that we can, continue to explore. But I'm talking about the sidewalks along McPherson and Bishop.
Right. Looks like we need to have a meeting with Beth. So Beth, we're going to be calling for a meeting.
And since we're on the topic, the Oxbow folks are very interested in being able to meet with you guys as well.
Right.
So we'll talk about that more another time.
Isn't it great when we wear multiple hats? It helps out. All right.
Definitely.
Thank you. Anything else that, one thing I do want to make a mention is, Katie, I know one of the feedbacks that you got during the meeting is like, why do we need anything this large? And every time I hear people say that, I want to keep reiterating that if you don't build it larger, the population is increasing, and all of a sudden you're going to be, clamoring for space, just like, down on Pond Street. And you don't want to do that with a new building. You want to build for the future. And if Ayer's population is going to be increasing till 2060 for being, our seniors, our seniors, that population going to be growing, you got to build out for 2060. And with that, people are going to get more and more activities and such. So having 55 at the Thanksgiving meal, that is awesome. So it's good to hear. So just want to make sure you know that.
And that's the thing. That's one of the, I appreciate that support, because that is a really important sentiment. I think some people hear either the price or the square footage, and it's a daunting number or size. We did take a group of seniors out to visit a comparable senior center that this particular architect had built. And they were all surprised by how warm and friendly and navigable that space was. So I do agree that you have to build it for what you anticipate. I've worked in a senior center in another town that had a much bigger facility than we have right now. When I was there, I was a program coordinator, and I filled it. And we put an addition on the building, and I filled that too. And so I have no doubt in my team's ability to be able to fill any space that we have with programs, services, and amenities that are really going to engage seniors for years to come.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Dennis?
Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted to thank you, Janet, for that particular comment, because the vague notion that it's somehow too big or too much is something that we've heard a lot. And there doesn't seem to be any real specific hard numbers behind it, but just this sense of, wow, this is really, really nice. We don't really need something this nice, is kind of the sense that I've gotten from a number of people. So to the extent that you can reach out to your friends, especially younger families, if you know folks in schools, members of the select board, town manager's office, and just let them know in individual conversations that, not building it big enough is a far greater risk than this particular structure, and that the advantages that will accrue to the community over time, because remember, this is a structure that we would anticipate would last 50 years or more.
Yeah.
And the investment now in such a thing will pay dividends for generations to come. And it'd be really great if the community could get behind it.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Yeah,
Yes, Julie.
that's not entirely CPC related, but clearly with this project, I feel like Dave or Ken might be able to answer this, but I won't even ask you to answer it tonight. But Katie, when you're saying you took a tour of a similar place, I think the majority of people in town are never going to take the time, right, to go and see that. It really might be helpful if, and again, I'm picking on Ken and Dave, but if there's a building in town that's a similar size or something
Great
we can,
suggestion.
as like just for a visualization of what that is, it might help people as we're trying, because we hear a number 14,000 and it's like, okay, well, is that, I don't know, St. Mary's sized, or like what are we talking about? And so again, I don't need that answer tonight, but it might be an interesting thing to help people visualize what kind of space is being used.
That's a really great suggestion, Julie, because I do think it is hard for people to, everyone can reference sort of their own home's size, but having something else to reference to would be really helpful. Thank you. That's an excellent suggestion.
Or even a video of the senior centers that are comparably sized, you know,
Right.
like to kind of get a little virtual tour.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Beth, I just don't know that if you see a video of it, you can still feel what it's like to be in it or visualize how much. I guess I'm really curious of a real building in town that's a similar size, just so I can
Yeah,
those people in it, right? Like put the numbers of the people I'm picturing or myself when I get there. Like there's just something to a building I've been in that's gonna help me kind of grasp this new building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I'm thinking about is like, you know, even Pond Street, if I'm looking at, you know, building B, you know, how many square foot is that? You know, just that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, now I'll also too start thinking about some of the buildings. Ken,
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea that Julie had. Just for reference, it's a two-story building. The first floor is about 9,000 square feet. The second is about 5. So we're really looking for a building that's got a footprint of about 9,000 square feet, and maybe 2 or 3 stories high, just to get a look like that. And it's a challenge to see if we have one around town. But
Town Hall is at the Page Hilltop, like where, I'm really curious.
it's a 9,000 square feet rectangle, basically on the first floor, or close to it.
Right?
yeah, I
That
mean,
means nothing to me, and I'm on the planning board with you. Like I can't grasp. Is it town hall? Is it, I just would love to roughly get an idea.
right.
Dave, I think it's close to Dave's house in West Main Street.
Works for me.
All right, I like the sound of that.
Good idea.
All right,
That's only 3,600, Ken.
Okay. Well, 3 times that. We got
3
it.
times.
okay. Anything else? All right, if there is,
What is the next step in this process? Is there a special town meeting or?
So we're working on the public input phase right now. We have a session scheduled for this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the senior center. I'll have donuts and coffee, so come on down if you want to hear the official spiel again. And then as well as next Wednesday, is that the 11th or the 12th, at 6 p.m. at the library. And then from there, I think the building committee is, going to try to process now what would be, I think, 4 public input sessions, and then go back to try and nail down that timeline. We were originally requesting a special town meeting in late February, early March. That's of course at the purview of the select board to approve that. So that's, I think, the next step is nailing down that date. But we are, like Ken said, we have done a lot of the work for the site already. We have completed the feasibility study, and we are gathering our first round of public input. Then we'll rest for a bit during the holidays and start up again in January. But yeah, we're trying to work towards a spring town meeting, late February, early March, if where possible, with the idea that we could finish the design documents, do the bidding, and start building in time to enclose before winter of 2025, because that keeps us, allows us to keep our contingency costs a little bit lower and allows us to have the interior contractors working throughout the winter.
I was under the impression that you guys were gonna have a fairly robust permitting process. is that calendar been, because I think there's a MIPA filing, right? Or has that not all been worked out? Because that
All been worked
looks
out.
like a
I think a lot,
very aggressive schedule.
the size of, because we changed the lot to 3 acres from the 76.5, and we brought the lot away from the wetlands. We have no wetlands to consider, no floodplain. We have no hazardous. We've finished the phase 1. We've done the habitat. So we're working basically through the lot, and it doesn't appear that, it appears that the lot will be out of those kinds of controls. There'll be some steps in the process, but they shouldn't be lengthy. We'll have to go to site plan approval with the town.
But you're in an ACEC, so anything that's not as, yeah.
We'll have that covered, natural heritage. So we have a habitat assessment being completed, and we've already talked to Natural Heritage about it through both DPW and the consultant we have. I think it's Omni that's working for that. So yeah,
But MIPA filing, right?
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Dennis?
So again, just thank you for your support. And if in your travels, you're hearing or talking to folks on the street or your neighbors or whatever, and if they have questions or appear somewhat skeptical or just kind of you're not sure where they stand, if you could encourage them to reach out to the members of the committee or to Katie, if they have specific questions about the size of the building, the cost of the building, the advantages of the building, I'd encourage you to just kind of let them know that we're available and have them reach out to us, and we'll, I'm sure, be happy to meet with them individually or just talk with them on the phone and try to kind of answer their questions, because I think there's a risk that some information gets out there which might not accurately reflect where we are in the process, and then people base their judgments on what they're hearing as opposed to what we're doing. So to the extent that you can point your friends and neighbors in our direction, that's all to the good.
All right, well, it's good that we know about the public input session at 10, and then the one at the library on Wednesday. So I think that's good too as well. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll let you guys.
One
Maybe
final
the-
comment, sorry. Just for clarification too, that we have got a lot of help. We have to do this at every meeting and help letting people know that the Department of Public Works, including the town engineer, have been with us right along the way through this whole process. So we've been fortunate enough to have professional help within the town, not just consultant help that we had to go out of the town to get. All the bidding that we've done for other outside consultants has basically been run through the DPW and using their sources or our sources to find engineers to help. So we have been getting professional help right along the way for the study of the land.
I'm sorry, Carolyn, couldn't hear you.
It's nothing, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. If there's, like I say, if there's nothing else, we hope to hear back from you sometime January, February. If you need help with the application, please let us know. Jess is great at helping.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much for the opportunity to meet with you and present with you. And we look forward to partnering with you going forward.
You got it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all your hard work.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Kevin.
all. Good to see you.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Hopefully Max doesn't leave us. Thank you, Carolyn.
Are you guys staying on? Are you doing executive?
Yeah, we've got 3 more things on the agenda.
Is it open for everybody or?
Oh, it's still
Yes.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, it's not an executive session.
We very, very rarely do any executive sessions. Thank goodness.
I know, it's like, so yeah, so we're gonna be probably about another 10, 15 minutes, we'll see.
It's $20 a minute.
All right, thanks.
Got it.
Wait a minute, it's night, you got shift differential in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Max.
Yep, no problem.
All right, so going to the I think that was very informative. Okay,
Mhm.
so again, hopefully they reach out and then we get an application for some of the other stuff. I will go ahead and check with the coalition with regards to the walking path as well as again, I think the amenities should be fine because it's not really attached. So I think we should be fine. And Beth, great idea with regards to the raised garden beds. It'd be perfect. And especially if, you know, that they're able to grow flowers, vegetables and
And the kitchen could use the produce.
exactly.
So great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Herbs and produce and things. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Okay. A very quick correspondence that I received from a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Strauss. He is the vice chair of the West Groton Rail Trail Committee in Groton. And what they are attempting to do, and he's gonna, I mean, he sent me and I didn't really want to get too far into this because we're just talking. West Groton, all right, I don't know if you know, but they went ahead and Squanicook created a new bike path that goes, I believe, from Townsend and it's supposed to go to someplace in New Hampshire. But they want to take a branch off of that and go through West Groton and head over to, again, I'm not that familiar with all the area, but they want to hit to Priest Bridge over the Nashua River, which comes into Ayer, and that comes over to Groton and Groton Shirley Road. And that would be like one of their last phases to it. And they're looking for community preservation funds to be able to help out with that last phase so that it comes into Ayer. Again, it has to stop at Groton Shirley Road because the other part of the rail line there is used a few times a year by Splash. So they'd have to, like I say, stop. So he was just trying to reach out to find out, you know, again, do we have funds, CPA funds? Would we be interested? And I'd get more information. I don't have anything to present other than they reached out. I think this would be a great rail trail to create because it's in the back by the Nashua River and there's walkways, not walkways, but dirt paths, sort of like pine meadow type paths, you know, that go up and around the Nashua River there. But the bridge is scary. I walked it yesterday and it's only got the rail boards and that's it. But there's separations in between. So I was not walking that. It's like there was nothing to hold on to. So I think, you know, this would be something that maybe we can go ahead and look for in the future. Again, they're years before they even come through. And one good thing is if we can make that connection goes right to the Groton Town Forest. So it's a place that we could get like maybe a couple parking spots, go over, you know, like I say, the bridge onto the West Groton Rail Trail, and then be able to hit to the Groton Forest. So I wanted to let you know about that correspondence. And is that something that, you know, we should, I think, you know, continue working with them, you know, saying what they have
Yeah,
to say?
this wouldn't be for in the immediate future.
No, far from it.
We've got some
Probably
other
5
big
years.
ticket- We've got some other big ticket things coming up, I think.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that I would encourage it.
All right.
Is
Yeah.
that the crossing of the Nashua in Ayer?
Yes,
Or it is?
it
Okay.
is. The Priest
I-
Bridge is in Ayer.
I think it's a fantastic idea. Because I hadn't really considered that because I knew the Splash connection would not be possible to, like at this point, you know, it's active rail. But I didn't know if they would potentially be able to remove the rest of it from active Surface Transportation Board jurisdiction. So there's a lot.
MBTA said that that's as far as they'd be able to to go ahead and work with them. So,
So, no,
yeah.
it's great, great
All right.
idea. What was his name?
Jonathan Strauss, Strauss, and he's the vice chair of the West Groton Rail Trail Committee.
Okay. So the Squanicook River Rail Trail currently is open from Bertozzi, Squanicook Wildlife Management Area to off of Townsend Road, I believe, in Groton.
I believe, yeah.
Is that right? Is that the right road? No, I'm not
All
remembering.
I know is,
And then it goes to like the area around the Cooperage building in Townsend. So it's a really great little, it's a short stretch now, but they are working on the expansion of it into Townsend.
correct, yeah. And I saw them while they were building it, and that took a couple years for them to go ahead and do that, so. All right, that was one of the correspondence. I've got nothing for old business. The other correspondence really is, Jess, if you want to write these down, what we've supposedly for the 2024, the distribution, as of right now, tentatively, we collected the surcharge in town of approximately $730,000.
Mm-hmm.
We've received 3 rounds of distributions. Do you want the tentative amounts for each round?
Sure.
Okay, 132,000 for the first round.
Yep.
Almost 59,000 for the second round. And 38,000 for the third round. Which gives us approximately 230,000 from the state.
Got it.
Okay, so the reimbursement, we're at 31%. There were 8 communities that got 100%. Majority of the communities got 18%.
And we got how much again?
31.34.
Okay.
There's 195 municipalities now. So we're sharing the pie a little bit more. All right, so that's, like I say, that was the correspondent. Old business success stories, I got nothing.
We have to do them.
We have to do them. And then I gather I need to sit down with Julie because she saw stuff with regards to other homework that has to be done. All right, next is public participation. Unless Max wants to participate. I don't see anybody else. Again, I'll reiterate, if you've got a question as you review this on YouTube, please contact Carly Antonellis and she'll go ahead and give one of the members or myself a call, and we'll be back in touch with you with any type of question that you have, or you can address it to cpc@ayer.ma.us for an email address. Anything else people want to bring up?
Nope.
Nope. Everybody have a good holiday?
Yep.
All right, that's good. Our next meeting, we're going to be in a little trouble because I don't think we're going to meet on January 1st.
Nope.
We're not going to meet on January 1st. So do we want to meet on January 8th? I gather, I have a funny feeling Parks and Rec has a meeting on the 8th. So
Yeah.
I'm going to reiterate to Sarah that we've got to have, legally, there has to be a member from Parks and Rec involved in these meetings. So I'll reiterate that to Sarah. But I believe they may have a meeting that night, so we may not get a Parks and Rec.
Should we look at the 15th so we can be inclusive and
We can.
or stick with our Wednesday since the rest of our group is used to it? How does that?
Yeah, I mean, I just would note, I have a ZBA meeting at 6 o'clock, so it might be done. but we might not have a meeting, you know.
Okay,
You want, yeah,
do we want to try the 15th then?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I could always be late.
Okay.
Or you can go play hooky. You give yourself the night off.
From ZBA? Sure.
No.
We're a large board. We can,
Oh, I can play hooky here.
yes,
Okay.
join us. I'll be thrilled, but
And you can do the minutes.
I was just gonna say that.
that was going to happen. To be honest, as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, yeah. Barry's going to do the minutes.
Barry right now is training over at the police station for a per
He
diem.
wants to learn more. We should have him do that.
Okay, all right, I'll tell Barry that when I see him. Okay, so right now, our next meeting will be on the 15th.
Okay.
All right, it will be on Zoom, and I didn't do, committees unless something major. Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Guys, as always, thank you so much. Really do appreciate everything.
Oh, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
But we have to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
I'll
Can I
make a
have
motion to adjourn.
All right, Colleen makes the motion. Second, got a second?
Me.
You,
Seconded.
Julie seconded. Okay, all in favor, aye.
I
All right, thanks, everybody.
Night all. Thank you.